Okay, let's dive in. We're stepping into a part of the wizarding world that feels both incredibly powerful and, frankly, utterly terrifying.
Hmm.
The spells, the practices, the things that make even, well, seasoned witches and wizards pretty uneasy.
Yeah, we're talking about the dark arts.
Exactly.
And today we've pulled together quite a stack of notes and excerpts. This is basically our source material for this deep dive. It's all focused specifically on the nature of dark arts and Harry Potter.
Right.
And our mission really is to cut through some of the noise and unpack the most intriguing, the most sinister lore from this material so you can quickly get a solid handle on what the dark arts truly are within this specific universe.
Yeah, and what really jumps out right away from this material is how it frames them. It's not just spells, it's something ancient, primal, almost.
Primal is a good word. It's described as the raw, sort of untamed side of magic itself, intrinsically linked to, well, immense power, but also death and fear.
And it's important, isn't it, that the notes make clear not everything considered dark magic is actually illegal.
That's a key point. Not all illegal, but a significant chunk is very heavily discouraged.
Why, though? What's the core reason?
It comes down to its corrupting influence, the potential for just extreme abuse. The material shows again and again that practicing these arts risks, like profound damage to your soul.
Yeah.
Essentially, you risk losing your humanity.
Wow. Okay. So if we're going there, talking about the absolute darkest corners,
Hmm.
where do we start? What's the worst of the worst, according to these sources?
There's really no debate in this material. Horcruxes, they represent the absolute pinnacle of dark magic.
Right. The ultimate act of darkness, yeah. And this concept, it wasn't recent, was it?
No.
Sources say it goes way back.
Way back. Pioneered by an ancient dark wizard named Herpo the Foul. That name itself tells you something.
Definitely. And the core idea,
Yeah.
it sounds simple almost, but the execution is just horrific.
It is. Splitting your soul, hiding a fragment in an object. But the really twisted part is how you do it. The material's very explicit. It requires murder. That specific act, the taking of a life, is what violently rips the soul apart, makes it unstable enough to fragment.
Ugh. And the accounts really underline how incredibly difficult these things are, both to make in the first place and then, crucially, to destroy.
Oh, absolutely. It's not presented as some easy shortcut to immortality. Far from it.
It's work. Dark, terrible work.
Exactly. And the most infamous example detailed here is, who else? Tom Riddle. Voldemort.
Of course.
He pushed the boundaries further than anyone we know of from these sources, created seven Horcruxes, all in that relentless quest for, well, cheating deaths.
That's just, and the secrecy around them, too, that's highlighted, isn't it?
Very much so. Even the, really restricted books at Hogwarts, they only hint at the process. They never fully detail the horror involved. It's considered too dangerous, too taboo.
It's framed as the ultimate violation, not just hurting someone else, but mutilating your own soul.
Yes, and there's a quote embedded right in the material that puts it starkly. Horcruxes are the darkest of magic. It's a twisted act murder and mutilation of the soul.
That word mutilation really hits home, the self-inflicted damage.
It does. It shows it's not just an external act of evil, but an internal destruction, too.
Okay, so splitting the soul is the absolute extreme, but dark magic also extends outwards, right?
Right.
Trying to control or harm others directly.
Definitely. And these notes point towards another really ancient and dangerous practice, blood magic.
Blood magic, okay.
Yeah, this is presented as one of the most sort of primal forms, using a person's blood, often to create these incredibly potent bindings or to exert control over them.
And there's a critical example laid out in the sources involving Harry and Voldemort.
Yes, Voldemort deliberately using Harry's blood in his own resurrection ritual.
And the material explains why, right? It wasn't just any blood.
No, it was very specific. He wanted Harry's blood because he thought it would let him bypass Lily's sacrificial protection. By incorporating its source, Harry's blood, into himself, he hoped to gain immunity to that ancient magic.
Clever, in a truly twisted way.
Extremely.
Yeah.
And blood magic's binding power is also seen in things like the unbreakable vow.
Ah, right. Those are terrifying.
They are. These magical contracts, sealed with blood, are described as totally irreversible. And if you break one, fatal consequences. It just shows how absolute and binding this kind of magic can be.
So, beyond binding people, dark magic is obviously known for just inflicting suffering and death, which brings us to curses.
Right. And the sources show curses range quite a bit. You've got minor jinxes, hexes, all the way up to really powerful, lasting, devastating spells.
Well, when people talk about the fear of dark magic, the real chilling stuff, they usually mean the unforgivables.
Exactly. The unforgivable curses, the big three.
The ones that are absolutely outlawed. The Avada Kedavra.
The killing curse,
Yeah.
instant death, no counter curse known in these texts.
Then the Cruciatus Curse.
Unbearable pain, pure torture.
And the Imperious Curse.
Complete mind control, taking away someone's free will entirely.
And the legal status. The
Yes.
material is very clear.
Absolutely unambiguous. Using any of these three curses on another human being is illegal. The penalty: a life sentence in Azkaban.
That's the harshest sentence they have, isn't it?
It is. It clearly marks the line. The wizarding world, or at least its government, draws a very firm boundary against these specific acts. They're seen as the most heinous magical crimes possible.
Okay, so dark magic also messes with death itself, not just causing it, but interacting with it afterward.
Yes, the sources definitely delved into that connection, which brings up the Inferi.
The Inferi is
Yeah.
creepy.
Very. And important to clarify, these aren't ghosts or spirits, they're actual corpses, reanimated through dark magic.
Just puppets, basically.
Exactly. Controlled entirely by a dark wizard to do their bidding, like guards or an army.
And the visual we get from the sources is potent. Voldemort raising that army of Inferi to guard his Horcrux in the cave.
Yeah, it's a chilling image. It just underscores how little respect dark wizards have for life, or even, the sanctity of what's left after life.
It's a complete violation.
There's also a brief mention of necromancy.
Oh, is that detailed much?
Not really elaborated on much in these particular notes, no, but it's implied to be a related, maybe even more fringe aspect of the dark arts. Dealing with the dead, perhaps communicating with them, maybe controlling them in other ways beyond just reanimation like the Inferi. It's left a bit vague.
Gotcha. So dark magic isn't just spells you cast. It can be embedded, like baked into objects.
Right. We see this with dark objects and artifacts. That's another category the material covers.
So cursed items, basically.
Essentially, yeah. Often seemingly ordinary things, a diary, a ring, a necklace that have been imbued with malicious spells, cursed to harm or influence anyone who interacts with them.
And some of the most potent examples we see are things like, well, Tom Riddle's diary or Marvel O'Gaunt's ring.
Which, of course, were also Horcruxes, so they were doubly dangerous. Cursed and containing a soul fragment.
A double whammy of darkness.
Pretty much. But there are other examples mentioned, too, just illustrating the variety. Like the Hand of Glory.
Oh, yeah, the severed hand thing.
Yeah, it gives light only to its holder, apparently often used by thieves and dark wizards. And then the Opal Necklace.
The one that nearly killed Katie Bell.
Exactly. Caused immense pain, nearly fatal, just upon touch. Used in a direct assassination attempt right inside Hogwarts. It shows how darkness can just reside within everyday objects, waiting.
Okay, shifting gears just a little bit. Our material also brings up Parseltongue.
Ah, yes. The language of snakes.
Which is frequently linked to dark wizards.
It is. It's presented as this rare, often inherited magical gift, strongly associated with Salazar Slytherin, one of the Hogwarts founders, and his bloodline.
And the two key individuals in the sources who have it are Voldemort.
The most famous descendant of Slytherin.
And Harry himself, which is a major plot point, obviously.
Huge. And what's really interesting is the perception of Parseltongue that the material describes.
How so?
Well, in the wider wizarding world, it's often feared. Seen almost as a definitive mark of evil.
Just because people like Voldemort had it.
Pretty much. Because of its association with dark figures like Slytherin and Voldemort. But the notes actually clarify this.
They do.
Yeah, they point out that while, yes, many dark wizards have possessed the ability, the skill itself talking to snakes is just that. A magical ability. It's not inherently good or evil.
It's the user, like
Yeah.
any magic, really.
Precisely. It's the user and their intent that determines whether it's used for dark purposes or not. Harry uses it, but he's obviously not evil.
Right. Okay, so given how dangerous and corrupting all this stuff is shown to be, how is it handled in education? Like at Hogwarts?
Well, Hogwarts traditionally takes a very specific stance, as laid out in these sources. They teach defense against the dark arts.
Defense against not the dark arts.
Exactly. The focus is entirely on understanding these forces, the curses, the creatures, the mindsets specifically so you can combat them, never on how to actually perform them.
Although, the sources do highlight a pretty disturbing exception to that rule.
Oh, yeah. During that period in the 7th book, when the Carrows, who were Death Eaters, took control of Hogwarts, students were actually forced to practice dark arts, using the Cruciatus Curse on other students for punishment. It was part of this brutal, imposed curriculum, a total inversion of Hogwarts principles.
Horrifying. And there's mention of other schools, too, isn't there, with different approaches?
Yes, Durmstrang Institute, the school in Northern Europe. It's described in the material as teaching some aspects of the dark arts more openly than Hogwarts ever would.
Which sort of fits its reputation, maybe.
It seems to, and perhaps tellingly, one of Durmstrang's most infamous former students mentioned in these sources.
Let me guess. Grindelwald.
Gellert Grindelwald, one of the most powerful and dangerous dark wizards of the 20th century, before Voldemort. This certainly adds to that picture of Durmstrang being, well, less resistant to the dark arts.
Okay, so if we, step back from the specific spells and objects, what's the bigger picture here? The sources seem to touch on deeper themes, too.
They really do. The material delves into the psychological and symbolic weight of the dark arts quite a bit.
It's not just about the magic itself, is it? It feels like it represents something more fundamental.
Exactly. These notes explicitly connect the dark arts to really basic, real-world human fears. The fear of death, obviously, the terror of losing control either of yourself or others, that seductive pull of power, and maybe most insidiously, the gradual creep of moral corruption.
So it's as much about the temptation, the willingness to cross lines for power, or out of fear.
Absolutely. It's framed very much in those terms. It's about the seduction of evil, the shortcuts, the forbidden knowledge. And this often explains character motivation, doesn't it? How fear, like Voldemort's fear of death or unchecked ambition, can drive someone down that really dark path.
Yeah, and there's that quote from Snape included here that just captures the whole struggle so powerfully.
Oh, the many-headed monster one?
That's the one. The dark arts are many, varied, ever-changing, and eternal. Fighting them is like fighting a many-headed monster.
It's a great quote. It really emphasizes how pervasive this stuff is, how difficult it is to truly stamp out these dark impulses and practices within the magical world. It's not one thing you defeat. It keeps coming back in new forms.
So, wrapping things up a bit,
Mm-hmm.
looking back at what we've unpacked from this material, we've gone through the ancient roots, the primal nature of the dark arts, that corrupting influence.
And specific examples like the soul-splitting Horcruxes, the really potent blood magic, those legally forbidden unforgivable curses.
The reanimated Inferi, those cursed dark objects.
Right.
We also touched on Parseltongue, how it's perceived versus what it is, and how this really perilous magic is handled or sometimes mishandled in education.
Yeah, quite a range. And our hope really is that this deep dive, drawing straight from the insights in the source material, has given you a much clearer, maybe sharper picture of the true scope and nature of the dark arts in this, captivating fictional world.
Definitely. And thinking again about that Snape quote, fighting an eternal many-headed monster, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What does it really mean for a magical world to inherently contain this dark, untamed side? And what does that perpetual battle against it, described right there in the source material, tell you about the very nature of good versus evil within that universe? Leaves you with a lot to chew on.